Hi guys, my name is Rudo and welcome or hopefully welcome back to my YouTube channel. Buying your first house can be challenging and be a challenge and scary, and when you add the extra layer of being an immigrant, it becomes even way more daunting. In this video, I'm going to try and provide some tips to you guys basing on our own journey of buying our first home here in the UK as immigrants. So if this is something that you would like to watch, please keep on watching, share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So yeah, keep watching. Now, one of the first things that you need to do is to understand the UK property market, because depending on where you're coming from, things can be a little different. For example, some property terms like freehold and leasehold, where freehold is when you own both the house and the land that it is on, and leasehold is you just owning the house, for example, and not necessarily the land that it is on, which will in turn mean more costs for you when you buy if it's a freehold, or more running costs for you if it is a leasehold. Other things that you might need to know is property types. For example, a detached is a standalone property, so you're not sharing any wall with any neighbor. A semi-detached is what we went for, so we share one of our walls with the neighbor. And then there's a terraced option where you've got like, it's a block of houses, so it's like 4 houses, each sharing a wall with the other. And then we also have flats or apartments, which is, I think those are probably self-explanatory. And there's like bungalows, which is like the whole house, the entire house is on the same floor, whereas most of these there's like 2 or more floors. And then another thing that you need to know is mortgage basics. So if you are going to use a mortgage to buy the house like we did, so you need to sort of have a rough idea of how much deposit that you will need, probably like from 5 to 20 or 25% even, depending on the banks that you're using. And you need to also understand the different areas in the UK and how much houses are likely to cost there. So for example, within the bigger cities, like for example London being the biggest, would have the highest cost in terms of property prices. Then as you go out of London, properties get a bit cheaper, and then you get to the next biggest city, so like Birmingham, Manchester, again property prices will be a bit high, and there's less space and something like that. So it's just basically understanding that at first. Apologies, I'm probably going to be glancing on my side because I've got my notes over here, and I also am looking at my monitor. My baby is napping. So once you have understood, or you have got a basic understanding of the property market, then you need to understand what it is that you want. So do you want a detached house, a semi-detached house? What budget are you working on? Are you going to be going for properties around 400,000, around 300,000? What is your cutoff? What type of area do you want? Like, do you want it to be very close to your works, the schools, school districts around there? You need to know all that. And also, do you want a new build versus an old build house, and what are the key features that you want? Do you want a garden, a big kitchen? Do you want a lot of space? Do you want a lot of modern amenities? What exactly do you want? So once you sort of understand that, you've got your budget, you have a basic understanding of what it is that you want, then you can start thinking, okay, yeah, I think I'm going to start looking for a house. So once you now want to actively start looking for the house, that is where the mortgage comes in. So thinking of actually, okay, can I get a mortgage? Some banks don't actually consider non-UK citizens, and then some, they've got like criteria that they have. For example, they might say they want 40% deposit, 25% deposits. Those are some of the things that you could hear. So you then need to look for a mortgage that you are eligible for. So some of the things that they look at is how long you've been in the UK for, the visa that you have, and your income. So for example, if your income in total maybe it's like over 100k, like your gross income is over 100k, some banks will then be able to consider that for you. And to help you with some of that assessment, you can get a mortgage broker, particularly a mortgage broker who understands working with immigrants and with first-time buyers, because sometimes like you get there and then they'll promise you, oh, actually, you know what, it's gonna be easy, and then the moment you get there, then they'll tell you, oh, actually, you know what, I hadn't realized your visa is expiring next year, or something like that and something like that. So you need someone who is experienced with dealing with cases specific to you. And yeah, in terms of documents that they will need for mortgages, they will definitely need like your visa, your pay slips, your bank statements. So just make sure that those are ready. And also, when you're starting to consider to buy a house, and maybe you've got payments that go in and out of your account, just make sure that they clearly can be explained, because when they now offer you a mortgage, the bank will review your statements, or the mortgage provider, they'll review your statements. So for example, if maybe you get a once-off payment from home of like 5,000 or something like that, they might then say, oh, actually, maybe that is where you're getting your deposit, and you don't necessarily afford the mortgage. So that's something to be careful about when you are now really intentionally working on getting the mortgage. And credit history, can't stress enough how important it is to build your credit the moment you get into the UK. I'm going to be doing sort of like a property series, so I'm going to deal with like specific things about a mortgage and about credit separately, but in this video I'll just say it is important to build your credit and build it early. The next thing that I'll talk about is saving for your mortgage. Most mortgages, if you're an immigrant, they do require a bit more deposit amount, so maybe from 10%, and some even up to 25%, depending on what type of property you want to get. So some of the things that you can do is you can open a lifetime ISA if you're eligible, and for every 4,000 that you deposit in a year, you earn 1,000 from the government. And yeah, and then another thing that you need to budget for is, so for example, if your mortgage deposit is like 20,000, you have to have at least 25,000 in my opinion, because you have to budget for legal expenses, stamp duty if it's applicable, but depending on the value of your house, you might not be paying stamp duty if your first house is like for the first 250,000, I think it's 250,000. And then also for moving costs, because when you're buying a house, sometimes you're just buying the house and there's nothing in the end, so you probably have to pay for the moving costs, the furniture, all those things. So it's good to already think about that when you're saving for your house. And then the next thing that I would also talk about is working with reputable professionals. So you can get if you're working with a developer, like we were we got our house from a developer, so they have some brokers and lawyers that they use, and those are the ones that we use. And if you've got like some lawyers that you already know, or brokers that you know or are recommended to you by reputable people, then you can use those. And like I said earlier, they need to understand your specific circumstances as an immigrant so that they can give you the right type of advice. They should also be able to advise like first time buyers as well, and don't just try to check you like the first thing that comes your way. Ask questions. It is your money, so you need to get the most value for it. So don't be afraid or too shy to ask questions. I was more on the not shy, but yeah, I wasn't really able to ask some questions. But my husband, like, he was always like questioning, why do we have to pay this, why do we have to do this, why do you have to do this? Because you need to understand. Again, maybe next time you want to buy another house, these are some of the things that you must already know. So yeah, that is something that you can do as well. And then you need to know your rights. So if there are any contracts, go through the contracts. If you don't understand, ask someone who knows. So for example, your lawyers, they should understand. If like you get those snagging reports, so there's supposed to be like a survey of where the house is and that it's in good condition. If there's anything that is amiss there, or there's something that you're not really understanding, ask questions. Make sure that you fully understand what is going on there. Yeah, my next piece of advice is be patient, but be prepared. Sometimes it can take weeks or months for the house buying process to be complete. So don't make a mistake of, for example, giving your notice to your landlord before the completion. Even if like they say, oh, we are positive, unless it's really tricky, because you might end up without somewhere to go when completion doesn't come in on time, and you've already given notice to your landlord or wherever you're staying. So be patient. You'll find the right thing at the right budget. Do not feel pressured to buy something that is outside your budget range, because people are in the business of selling these houses, so they'll try and get the best deal for themselves as possible as well. Finally, just a quick reflection on our own process. It can be an emotional process, because you can get rejected by like the banks for mortgages. You can put in an offer for your house and the offer can be rejected. So it can be a trying time, and you just need to stay strong and stay patient, and it will happen for you. Don't then feel rushed and maybe end up committing to something that is way outside your budget, just because of the pressure that is involved with the process. So I wish you all the best in your house buying journey. If we could do it, then you can do it too. It might seem like a challenge, but you know what, good things come from challenging situations, and yeah, you will be able to do it. So this is the first video of the property series that I'm going to do. In the next video, we're going to be going in depth in the actual mortgage process, in terms of like the step-by-step, start to finish. So if you are enjoying this kind of content, please make sure that you do subscribe and you like this video. And if you've also bought a house in the past year or so, please do give your own experiences down below, like how was it for you, and any tips that I have left out. Yeah. So until next time, guys, bye.